fraction that looks really intimidating, number 5. We got a lot going on here. We have two fractions being added together in a numerator and two fractions being added together in the denominator. So what we want to do is let's work bit by bit. Let's just look at this numerator first, and let's just rewrite that to get a common denominator. So we have 4 over, well, let's factor this out. X squared minus 25 is the difference of two squares. So if I remember the pattern, it's going to be the square root of the first one plus the square root of the second. Square root of the first minus square root of the second. So I factor that denominator. And then that's plus 2 over x plus 5. Okay, so if I wanted to add these two together, they need to have common denominators. So just for me to visually see this better, that's a binomial, so I'm going to put that in parentheses. So what does this fraction have in the denominator that this fraction does not? Well, clearly it's missing the x minus 5. So I have to multiply this fraction with the number 1, which means that my denominator needs to be the exact same on both. So when I multiply by 1, denominator minus 5 is in the bottom, and x minus 5 is in the top. So that's my number 1. So then that means that this fraction can be rewritten as 4 plus, I'm going to go ahead and distribute this in, 2x minus 10 all over x plus 5 times x minus 5. So I have to remember that's just my numerator. Now I need to do my denominator. So my denominator, I'm going to do my denominator up here. I have 1 over x plus 5 plus 1 over x minus 5. So I need to ask myself, remember these are binomials, so I'm just going to put this in parentheses so I can help see that those have to stick together. What does this fraction have that this one does not? Well, this fraction is clearly missing x minus 5. So I have to make it, that's clearly a 1. What's this denominator missing that this one has? Well, x plus 1. Excuse me, x plus 5. There again, I multiply my fraction by the number 1, which means that my denominator, which I'm now going to write down here, is x minus 5 plus 1 times x plus 5 is x plus 5 all over my denominator, which is x plus 5 times x minus 5. Okay, doesn't really look that much better, but remember that this is a multiplication problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this as a multiplication problem. I'm going to clean up my numerator of this fraction first. So this is the same as 2x, negative 10, and 4 is negative 6, divided by x plus 5 times x minus 5, multiplied by the reciprocal or the inverse of my denominator, which means that my x plus 5 times x minus 5 goes in the numerator, and in my denominator I have, let's clean this up, I have x plus x, which is 2x, negative 5 and 5 is 0. Okay, starting to look a little better. Now what do I notice? I have a binomial in the numerator and the denominator. That cancels out to 1. And the same thing here. Both of those divide out to 1. Ooh, that looks nice. It's tempting to want to cancel out this 2x and this 2x, but we can't. Remember, that's a binomial. So our final answer is 2x minus 6 divided by 2x. Well, maybe not quite, because I see that there's still a factor that can be factored out. So that's the same as 2 times x minus 3 over 2x. Ah, now I can cancel because I have a factor of 2 here and a factor of 2 here. That means my final answer is x minus 3 divided by x. The secret is to not freak out and to break it down into pieces. Break it down to your numerator and your denominator, and then work them separately, and then bring them back together again. Write them in a form that is easily understood and go from there.